I think that would be cool
Yeah, sure.
to hear like
Yeah, you
some
want
of.
to talk about the anxiety factor? Let's go to David Logan, the most the most anxious guy on this podcast. So
Not sure about
I
that.
could, sorry, I couldn't resist that one. That you opened that door. I just walked through it. So
Hello and welcome to the Crazy Angels podcast. I'm with Pascal Dennis and David Logan. Hi guys.
hello.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hi guys. Today we want to dive in our October seasonal single, Blackhead Blues. I have a question about your songwriting, Pascal. When you started writing Blackhead Blues, how did you take something, as big as some how did you take something as big and abstract as, archetypes of the thin veil between worlds and translate it into a concrete song lyric? Like, what's your process for grounding these big ideas in singable lines?
Well, I might have told this story before. It's my songwriting style is based on the great rabbinical tradition. A friend of mine is a rabbinical scholar, Mel Mercure, and he tells me all these great stories of all the great rabbis going back 1,000 years and how they were famous for having stories and jokes and parables for every situation. And the joke is that the students would say, Rabbi, how come you always have a story to explain a point? And he said, well, I have a bow and an arrow and I shoot it randomly, it hits something, and then I just draw the bullseye around the arrow. So I always hit the mark. So that's how I write
Fantastic
songs.
answer.
So I shot the arrow. I know I want to tell these stories and bring these textures into it. Now, what's the bullseye that I draw? Well, it's I want heightened tension. There's a narrator that's seeing all these signs like the black cat, the chicken dripping blood, the voodoo doll, and each chapter, each verse builds on that. And the characters come out of that naturally. So there's this guy who's got a lot of anxiety because he's with a voodoo woman, a woman who's unstable, hostile, maybe a little crazy, and he's seeing all these signs. And so the anxiety rises, and David intuits that as always. So the arrangement reflects the rising anxiety. So that's how I write songs. It starts with that arrow, and I just draw the bullseye around it.
It's
Awesome.
great.
And speaking of the rising, how David managed to, express the rising anxiety, David, uh, could you show us how you arranged the chorus in order to make it stand out? I think that would be cool
Yeah, sure.
to hear like
Yeah, you
some
want
of
to
it.
talk about the anxiety factor? Let's go to David Logan, the most the most anxious guy on this podcast. So
Not sure about
I
that.
could, sorry, I couldn't resist that one. That you opened that door. I just walked through it. So that's all. Um, sure. So let's go to the arrangement here, and as far as yeah, specifically the chorus goes. So this is a very, very common practice amongst record producers where, you've got one musician in your studio and, usually you got to pay like at least double scale, but then you can get them to play more parts, right? Now with this, because it wasn't like big melodies, it was mostly just, some chord outlines and stuff. He went easy on me. um, he saw that I was anxious. He's like, "All right, I'll just do it for yeah." Anyway, so let's just examine this chorus for a moment here. Oh yeah, and if you
Hmm.
listen really, really carefully, you can hear the reed, like you can hear the buzzing of the
Ooh.
saxophone
Hmm.
reed. It's so And that's the thing I like doing when I record. You know, I like to get very raw and very real performances. And if they're too perfect, I'm not happy. I want there to be a bit of grit, a little bit of slime in there. And certainly we did that. And then, of course, another absolute, you know, trick of the trade, you know, we back up the live samples. And this is why we always say we like big tech for some reasons and we don't like them for other reasons. This is one of the reasons we like big tech, because I wouldn't even call it big tech, just tech in general. On their own, it's not that impressive. But you hear how punchy? It's punchy, right? And so what happens is when you're mixing, if you put the reeds, the live saxophones, we'll just listen to those on their own. If you mix those hot or up front, you don't even hear the stuff behind, but it's punching. It's filling everything out.
Oh.
Now that's like a line cliche from blues and jazz, you know. That particular lick has been around for a while, but I mean, how can you not use it on a song like this, right? So, you know, and yeah, so that's kind of how we got out of all the you know, sort of really, really dark stuff. But yeah, again, it always goes back to the writing, you know, because the Pascal, you know, changes the mood and he makes these wonderful bright chords, right? Little harmonica in the back. Nice Hammond organ. Right? And that's helping to fill out everything in the arrangement, you know? Yeah. And yeah, again, you know, like very sort of common bass lines. These are just standard walking bass lines. Like nobody wrote these, you know, I didn't tell the musicians to play these. These just evolve over time. Now, to be fair, these ones I did write. What I did not write are this really, really standard ones, which are these. This is like any bass player in any bar would just play. So no one can take credit for that bass line.